Well, it does seem that the trade rumor heat is actually getting more and more for Niels Höglander. Now, we did see a trade rumor that centered around Höglander a couple days ago. Essentially, the Vancouver Canucks are okay with moving him, essentially. Now, I was touching on him, and just like I made a video when the Vancouver Canucks originally signed Höglander, and I was saying to myself, like, this is a good deal. Höglander is a good player, right? So now we do have a trade rumor going on that the Penguins are, quote, very interested in Höglander. I mean, I don't really know. I mean, I guess it kind of does make sense. They don't really have that many picks or young players with Pittsburgh, so this actually might make some sense. Now, I'm going to, like in my last video with touching out on this potential trade, I think it's important to mention that you might be giving up on Höglander too fast here. This does worry me a little bit. This is a player that has proven that he can play in the NHL. Like, yes, he doesn't have the highest point totals overall, and he has a level of inconsistency, but he scored something like 24 goals last year in general. I mean, he's not a scrub. So this worries me a little bit from Vancouver's point of view, depending on what they could get for him, right? Now, to be clear, he only has like 5 points this year. I mean, that is a massive dip in his production, right? Like, he is literally on pace for, I believe, like maybe 8 to 12 goals in the entire season, right? This is where I come at with these situations, because I don't like when GMs trade players at a weakness, right? Even with my own team, it's the same thing. I'll always say the same thing, where it's like, you know, you're trading this player and you are weak, you know what I mean? Like, you're not in a good negotiating stance, and this is exactly where the Vancouver Canucks are thinking about trading him. So this is where I have a difficulty with this one. Now, it is true, though, that he is getting paid a decent amount of cash, though. Like, it's not nothing that he's getting paid. If you pay a player $3 million, you need that player to produce, right? Now, I guess it does make sense from Pittsburgh's point of view, though, because Pittsburgh tends to be, again, they really are desperate to get it on track, and I'm thinking they're probably thinking to themselves, like, hey, if we can get this guy, we can get him with one of our talented centers, maybe we can make a run at things. I'm very skeptical as to whether Pittsburgh can be good still. I mean, I don't know about that, but whatever. I don't know. You can tell me if you think Pittsburgh's actually a good team. You know, I was actually wrong about the Pittsburgh Penguins draft picks. It actually does look like they have 3 draft picks, 25, 26, and 27. So, by the way, I was actually wrong about that. They actually are pretty stocked up on the draft, at least first-round draft picks for the next 3 years. I thought they've traded them, but I guess since they've been out of the playoffs, they didn't really see a necessary point in it if they didn't think that they were going to be competitive. Now, here, I'll say this from Vancouver's point of view. Now, I might be thinking a little bit pie in the sky here. And obviously, because you're trading him at a position of weakness, but if you want to trade him at a position of strength. You know, can you imagine if they could get a first-round pick from Pittsburgh? I mean, I know I'm being a little bit unrealistic. Maybe that won't happen, but alas, like, I'm just saying that you don't want to give this guy away for nothing. I actually like Höglander. I usually am not the biggest fan of smaller players, but he isn't a player you just want to give away, especially one that has proven that he can produce in the National Hockey League, albeit being inconsistent. You know, I wonder if Vancouver would be interested in the 2026 draft pick. They have 2 second-round draft picks, Pittsburgh does, in 2026. That might be an option for them, right? They might want to consider something like that. That is more realistic, like a second-round pick. But if I was Vancouver, I'd be asking for a first-round pick. I don't know about you guys. You also have to give Höglander a little bit of a break here, right? Like, he's getting paid like a third liner. Like when you're getting paid $3 million AAV, to me that's third line type money, right? It's third line type money, and yes, you want him to be on pace for about 30, 35, if you're lucky, 40 points playing on a third line. But he hasn't been. You know, you can't be that mad at him, right? At the end of the day, you know he's inconsistent to a degree. Maybe I'm being a little bit too soft on him. I'm just really nervous for the Canucks giving up on a younger player that has proven that he can produce in the National Hockey League, right? And Vancouver does have all of their first-round selections. Maybe they could use that other second-round pick in 2026. They have one second-round pick in 2026. Perhaps they could figure that out. Maybe Vancouver could have 2 second-round picks. Now, here's the thing, though. When you hear a team is, quote, very interested in a player, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, you gotta really squeeze that, right? Squeeze that and really negotiate properly with this team. Like, don't just give them away for nothing. You know what I mean? Anyways, Kyle Dubas can have Nick Robertson. How about that? And by the way, now that we're on the topic of Vancouver, I hadn't made a Vancouver video in a couple of videos, so I thought I would just touch on Thatcher Demko, by the way. So there was a report now that he believes he can serve as the backup in the next couple of home games or something like that. So obviously we're glad to see that. I really, really hope Thatcher Demko gets back to where he was. I mean, in my opinion, if he's in the net, he is a legitimate starting goalie. He literally hasn't played this year. I mean, we're like 20, so we're almost, we're a lot of the way through the season, more than a quarter of the way through the season now. And it sucks to see that he hasn't played. So really, 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 really hoping he gets back to 100%, but it's good to see that he is at least healthy enough to back up, which is what you want to see. Anyways, I'm going to leave this video here. I just wanted to make a quick Vancouver video. If you guys can make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, I would appreciate it, guys, and have a great day. Goodbye.